Welcome back to the 12th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
Welcome back, BatChum.
Good to be back, BatChum, and it's always fun to discuss Batman 60s series as well as especially when the Riddler's on. Those just seem really more special to me.
Yeah, I really enjoy the Riddler episodes. He's such a dynamic character. Even a little more, I think, than the Joker is.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, yes. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I think as this episode goes on. But yeah, it's just the strong performance by Frank Gorshin that really makes the Riddler one of the top 10 Batman villains. No matter who you want to like, what order you want to put them in, you can't argue that he's like one of the big ones.
Exactly. All right, so this is Batman Season 1, Episode 12. When the rat's away, the mice will play. This episode aired Thursday, February 17th, 1966. Director was Tom Gries. I don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry. Okay. The writer is Fred. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The writer is Fred DeGorder.
Yeah, and like I said, this one's not based on any actual comic story that I could find. So it's the first time we've got one that's a completely original, as far as I could tell. And I just want to just take a moment right now to just also say, because we haven't mentioned it yet, but since we're on the 12th episode, I love how all the titles rhyme. The first part and the second part. I really like the title structure that they give these episodes. They don't match what the titles were in the comics for the stories that they're adapting, but it just shows just one more level of fun that they're having while making this series.
All right, so when we last saw the Cape Crusaders, they were fastened to two drive shafts that were rotating at 1,000 revolutions. So, of course, before we start a recap on this, we have to consult Magic Batman.
Magic Batman.
So, Magic Batman, will Batman and Robin get out of this, or will they be torn apart?
He certainly didn't like Aunt Harriet's chances last time.
No, so we'll see.
I think he just had something against Aunt Harriet, to be honest with you. Man, the suspense is killing me.
You've won this fight. You've won this fight.
Okay. So, well, that was quite a fight you had with him.
Oh, yeah. So, according to Magic Batman, they're going to get out of this.
Okay.
All right. Let me grab a drink real quick.
Shoo. I was worried there
from the old bat cup, or I should call it a bat glass. Holy tilt-a-whirl. When we saw the Cape Crusaders, Riddler had Batman and Robin fastened to two drive shafts that were rotating at 1,000 revolutions per second. Riddler's plan was for the center. If I can say the word, Riddler's plan was for the centripetal force to tear their bodies apart. One more revolution
would have finished from their bones.
Yes. One more revolution would have probably finished both of them. However, when they were captured, Batman was able to get his cutting torch out of his utility belt. Batman burned the armature and was able to short circuit the power. Back at police headquarters.
Sure he was.
I know. That's the funny thing about it, because it supposedly happened when they were in the net.
I had to rewind that 3 times, and I still couldn't figure out how he got out of it. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, Batman. I don't know. Yeah, it was a cool trap that they were caught in, but to get out of it, I thought was pretty weak, because it didn't make any sense to me.
No, it didn't. It was basically a hand wave.
It just sounded like, I think it looked like the equipment just burst and Batman took credit for it.
That's pretty much it.
He's just like, oh, that was part of my plan all along.
Back at police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara question King Boris about his kidnapping. After the king leaves, Commissioner Gordon receives a call on the bat phone. He is relieved that Batman and Robin are still alive. At the Museum of Fame, housed in the torch room, high atop the Queen of Freedom monument, King Boris presents a gold bejeweled miniature replica of the Queen of Freedom before a televised audience. Later, on a Gotham City street corner, Mousy places an envelope in a Gotham City police call box. There is a small explosion and red smoke that gets the attention of a nearby police officer. He finds the envelope addressed to Commissioner Gordon. Back at police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon reads the note. If Gotham City does not pay me $1 million in cash by 10 o'clock tonight, the Queen of Freedom monument will be blown sky high. All security measures cannot stop the destruction, and only I can deactivate the bomb. P.S. Batman and Robin are dead. The Riddler. Commissioner Gordon calls Batman, who tells him to get the money from a private source since the city council won't be able to meet again until tomorrow with members out of town. Commissioner Gordon decides to call Bruce Wayne. Later at police headquarters, Bruce Wayne brings Commissioner Gordon the cash. Batman enters through the window. Batman has a plan. Drop the money off at the museum in the torch room at 9 p.m.
You got to use quotes. Batman.
Oh, yeah. What, do you want to stop and talk about this for a minute? I don't know about you, but Bruce Wayne's in there, and when Batman comes through the window, I was like totally surprised. I was not expecting it whatsoever. Especially since the Riddler thought Batman was dead. Why would they send a decoy in like that? And he tells Commissioner Gordon that Batman and Robin are dead.
He does. And Gordon doesn't seem surprised to see him.
No, he doesn't, does he? but I just had to say it took me by surprise. I was not expecting it. So it was a nice surprise. Okay. Batman has a plan. Drop the money off at the museum in the torch room at 9 p.m. Deactivate the bomb, and then the police must leave. Batman and Robin will then jump into action. Okay, I got to stop and say something here again. I thought it was funny that Batman tells the police they need to deactivate the bomb when that would normally be something Batman would do himself.
I think he did.
He did what?
I think he said at the end that he deactivated it.
I thought for sure
he replaced it with a like a something else that went off instead, right?
Oh yeah, but the real
I see what
Batman
you're saying.
did that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But the fake Batman is telling the police they need to deactivate the bomb.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, good point.
So Batman has a plan. Drop the money off at the museum in the torch room at 9 p.m. Deactivate the bomb, and then the police must leave. Batman and Robin will then jump into action. Later, back at the Batcave, Batman finds Robin up near the atomic pile. Robin states that he heard a funny noise and was checking it out. Okay, we're going to stop and talk about this real quick. Because I remember you mentioning a few. I know I'm stopping and interrupting
it's okay.
myself.
It's okay.
These are points I wanted to talk about when I was watching the episode. And I remember a few episodes back, you don't remember them using that atomic walkway or things that much. So I was very surprised when Batman came back that Robin was up there. Well, I think Batman was surprised to see Robin up there.
Yeah.
There's a link up here.
Because because in the first episode, the first story, second episode, that woman fell to her death, from there. So And then I think he said he had it, that Batman was going to have it roped off so that nobody could go up there.
Thought I remembered there being some sort of cover for it, though. Wasn't there a
Yeah,
cover over it when Alfred was up there cleaning?
it's a weird, yeah, that's true. It's a weird choice because yeah, I was surprised by that too. I'm like, what the heck's Robin doing up there? And it doesn't really mean anything. But he's like, it's making a funny noise. I'm like, I don't does that mean something? It doesn't have any sort of effect on what happens later. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, it was weird. I was not expecting him up there, and
But
Batman
it
sure
is
didn't want him up there either.
no, he didn't, because when he went to solve the right, he's like, get your butt down here and help me solve this.
Batman explains that when Bruce Wayne dropped off the money at the police headquarters, he met a fake Batman. Just then, the bat phone rings. Commissioner Gordon informs Batman of the fake Batman. Batman consults a
He
chalkboard.
knows. I thought that was really cool. That because I think we're led to believe in that scene that the police are totally convinced that it's really Batman.
Yeah,
We know that it's not, and Bruce knows that it's not, but we get the feeling that the Commissioner Gordon is completely sold that that's the real Batman. But so when he calls later to tell him that he could see right through it, I thought that was really good. That's like one of the few times that we see that the police are actually like intelligent.
right. And he said he played along because Bruce Wayne was there
Yeah, he didn't want to endanger
and didn't
Bruce
want
Wayne's
to.
life. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool. I think it was the episode in the first part. I think Gordon has that sequence where he says, "We don't know who he is, and I respect him too much to find out." Um, and sort of that's just there in that first episode, which is kind of cool. Um, but then the second episode, we find out, okay, well, he might not know who's under the cowl, but he knows when a fake one is coming up that it approaches him. So I thought that was really cool. We don't usually see Commissioner Gordon get a lot of like love in terms of he just looks like they just look inept all the time. But in this case, he saw right through that guy.
yeah, he sure did. And I like how they played it out with Commissioner Gordon calling Batman and telling him it's a fake Batman,
Yes.
and you know, Batman playing along like he didn't know about it already. So
Right.
I like how they just played through it, even though he knew what was going on. So Batman consults a chalkboard where he has all the riddles written down. He decides to solve the last riddle that the Riddler gave them right before they were supposed to die. Why is a woman in love like a welder? Answer: because they both carry a torch. At the museum, Riddler goes to retrieve the money and deactivate the bomb. The bomb is missing and a riddle is left in its place. What squeals louder than a caught rat? Answer: several caught rats. Riddler Riddler goes to open the money bag and it explodes with red smoke. The Riddler has been out-riddled. Batman and Robin burst through the painting of themselves. They already deactivated the bomb. Now they plan on deactivating the Riddler with their fists. A fight ensues and the Riddler loses. Back at Wayne Manor, Aunt Harriet has some friends from out of town visiting Gotham City. She plans to take them to see the Queen of Freedom monument. She asks if Bruce and Dick want to go. Both refuse. Bruce has Wayne Foundation reports to review, and Dick has home while Dick has algebra homework.
Again, in quotes.
Yes.
They lie to her every single time they see her. I think every
Well,
time we've seen them,
Dick did have
they're
to
like,
do. We did see Bruce hand Dick his algebra homework to go do, though. He was kind of like, "Oh man,
yeah, yeah.
better come with a better excuse next time." Now, was the freedom was the Queen of Freedom monument supposed to be the Statue of Liberty?
Oh yeah, no,
Because
sure.
that's the impression I
But
got.
we never really get to see it because I guess the special effects team couldn't actually do the real, like, actually that visual special effects. So we never really see what it looks like in Gotham, but we just see a miniature of it that's put in the museum. But yeah, so unfortunately that one, that and it kind of does, I think it is kind of confusing. There's a lot of things that are kind of confusing in this one, like how they get out of the
Yes.
trap, and also the relationship between, I mean, the fact that we don't actually see uh the statue in its full, like, glory is kind of a shame. But I mean, it's still the Riddler. And I do apologize because I just, when you said it, you pointed it out. I was wondering, I said that, Robin being up there and there being something wrong doesn't have a payoff, but it does have a payoff. It's not a great payoff, it's a short-term payoff, but if Robin's not up there fixing something, then he doesn't need a torch. And if he doesn't need a torch, then they don't solve that riddle.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. That's what gives Batman the idea about the torch.
Exactly, exactly. So once again, even though it's inadvertent, Robin solves the riddle. It amazes me, watching over these, how often Robin solves the riddles, not Batman. And it is really, it's a credit to Robin, but it's also, it kind of diminishes Batman a little bit, because it's like, oh, does he is he not smart enough? Like, what would happen if he was, by himself and didn't have Robin? I mean, probably wouldn't get that far. And who am I to question Batman? But like, maybe he's just having Dick have teachable moments. But yeah, but the real showcase in all this is I love the first part of this one, because it just seems like the Riddler is just hell bent. Doesn't matter what he's kidnapping, he's stealing, but it doesn't really matter. His end goal is to kill Batman. Now, once he thinks he has that done, then the second part of it, he's going to extort $1 million. He doesn't even put it in the form of a riddle. He just calls him up and says, "I want $1 million."
I
like,
noticed that there
like
was
all the
really
fun
no.
is out of it for him. Like, it doesn't seem like he's like the Riddler anymore, really, because I mean, I guess it just goes to show you how synergetic that relationship is between Batman and the villains, because without Batman, they're just crooks. But because Batman is Batman, they can be these outrageous crooks that do weird things. And if there's no Batman, then yeah, he's like, they don't even, like, they're just going to get $1 million and they're going to peace out. They're going to go, like, on vacation, or retire in some island or something. They don't really care. So it's just it's really interesting to see how this develops that way.
Yeah,
So
trying to
I think
think if
this is the
there's.
first two-parter where we don't get an appearance by Alfred. I don't
Oh,
know if
that's
he's just,
right. There
I don't know
was Alfred wasn't in this one, was he?
yeah, I don't know if he's just busy that week, or when they were filming this, or what. But yeah, it's solid. I think, obviously it's Frank Gorswin. I think the first part is a little stronger than the second part as far as the two-parter goes, but it's still really fun. Just, the visual of Batman and Robin bursting out of their own portrait in the museum is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I when they pointed out that picture, I knew that was going to happen. I
It's
just knew it.
didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's something triggered in my brain too when they showed that on the camera or whatever, and the guy's touring the museum and they come to that picture. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna burst out of that.
yeah. It was like foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's just a memory that was triggered in my head that I knew that, or it was just obvious that that was going to happen visually. That, yeah, they're going to burst out of that.
Now I have to say, I think I enjoyed this episode of the Riddler more than the previous two episodes we saw. His first
Oh,
appearance.
okay,
I think
interesting,
I
interesting.
enjoyed this one better.
Gotcha. Any
So
particular
I
reason
don't know
why,
if it's
or?
because that's what I was just going to say. I don't know if it was because at this point we're more familiar with the Riddler because we've seen him once before, or what it was. Maybe it was the trap. I don't know. I just seem to enjoy this one better than the previous one, and maybe because it could also be due to the fact that was the very first and second episodes of the whole series. So maybe it felt a little more together in this one since we're
Yeah.
further along. I don't know. This is me guessing why I like this one better.
We
So
we have in this one too, it's kind of interesting because we have the Riddler's like gang, but they're not Riddler themed. They're like he sort of is now the leader of this group called what is it, the River Rats, right? Mousy,
yeah,
Fangs, Whiskers, Whitey, right? They're the rats or whatever, right?
yeah.
And it previously in the first two-parter, uh he teams up. He's still doing the sewer thing. He's still traveling around in the sewers, but he teams up with a gang called the Molehill Gang. So I find it interesting that they're teaming up Riddler with these, these stooges that are have their own thing going. Like they're not like part of the they're not like they don't even like they don't know about the riddles, they don't care about the riddles, they just there to get their cheese or whatever. They've got their own theme going. It's not big enough that they can be a big bad. I guess they just steal cheese all the time prior to this or whatever. But and then we also get I think too between this one and the last couple of episodes, it seems like Mousy, here played by Susan Silo, who's the Riddler's girl. And now it's almost a requirement that all of the bad guys have to have moles. They have to have moles or whatever you want to however you pronounce it, or girls, in their camp. And they all like it's really like in your face now every time you see a woman next to Batman that they're instantly like smitten. They're like completely like meeting Elvis. They're just almost like just aghast at how cool and attractive and sexy he is. And it's just crazy. Like it just seems like that's a running gag now.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of there a little bit before, but not I mean, now it's like they're kind of just hitting you over the head because every time they meet a witness or a victim or whatever, they talk to someone on the street. Every time they meet a female character, they're always like, "Oh, Batman," like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. So
Must be his bat clone.
I mean, and the other thing that's cool about this too in the second part is you're right, it comes as unexpected because we don't see this as part of the plan. And you're right, it doesn't make any sense because if Batman's dead, why would they have someone dressed up like Batman but in any case, it is really cool to see Batman and Bruce Wayne like together. Like it just seems like, I mean, when it happens, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh, that's really wild. And that guy really filled out the bat suit in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had, he was built, he's a beefier Batman, if you will. So I mean, he looked like he could really hurt somebody. Even though
Plus, he,
even though, when they did the handshake, his hand was crushed by by
yes,
Bruce.
I noticed that. He also had a deeper voice.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and, yeah, I don't know if I would rank this as high as, the first one is so iconic with, the Go-Go and the Batusi and all the stuff that happens with the Batmobile and all that kind of stuff, but I do think it's a great follow-up, despite the fact that it's, again, original, not based on anything in the comics specifically. But I just love the fact that, that the Riddler is just hell-bent on killing Batman and Robin. Um, and, uh, and that's the big play in the first part of this. And then they feel like once that happens, you know, their life of crime is not really necessary. They can just go on and just get their money and just go on and do whatever they want to do. So I think be interesting to see that and nobody died in this one.
Nope, nobody did they?
Nope. So
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
I do. I just want to let people know I am once again honored. It is my privilege to be invited back as a guest at the Dragon Con this year. Dragon Con is a big convention that's held in Atlanta. It is Labor Day weekend, so the first weekend of September. I have gone for last year was my 30th in a row. It is a
Wow.
show that I never miss. I have been fortunate enough to be a guest for almost half those appearances. I will have a table set up in the comic and pop artist alley where I'm selling my books, Tiki Zombie, and some of the other books I've worked on, as well as I will be appearing on a lot of panels. That's still to be announced and scheduled and all that. But I am really, really happy to be part of the Dragon Con family, to be invited back again this year. I also do a podcast called the Dragon Con Report because we're so excited to talk about that show and prep for it. There's a lot of prep that gets involved that's involved with that show. So we recorded our second episode and released it last week. So Dragon Con is very important to me, and I'm once again glad to be part of it. And anybody who's listening to this, watching us, I hope to see you there. And if you're there, come say howdy.
Awesome. All right. And for my shout out, I'm going to show up. I'm going to shout out about the first appearance of the Riddler, which was in Detective Comics number 140,
Yeah, that's right.
October, October 1948. So the Riddler was actually I found this interesting because I didn't know this. The Riddler was actually created by Bill Finger, and Dick Sprang.
Hmm.
So no, I don't think we mentioned that before, did we?
I don't
I
think
did.
we've talked about where some of the bad guys originated and who created them. So,
So
so
I
yeah,
just
that's always good to shout those guys out.
yeah, I was curious. Well, I was like, what was the first appearance of Riddler? So I looked it up, and October 1948. So that was interesting.
Yeah,
And
and what's
I
weird is
read
that he only appeared once after that. Like before the series, he only appeared twice. Like it's he was not considered a major bad guy before the TV series. It was the TV series that made him, and subsequent appearances in comics after that because he was so popular. But it was really the TV series that put him on the top shelf as far as the Bat villains goes. But did you read the first appearance? It's been a long time since I've read
I
it.
didn't I didn't read the issue itself, but I read a synopsis of what happened. And
Gotcha.
basically I found out that the Riddler, his career began when he was in school, and he basically he entered this contest. At least is the Golden Age version. He entered this contest in school, or this Riddler. They had some contest at school, but he wanted to win it. So he broke into the school that night and learned how to do the puzzle where it took him under a minute to do. So he basically cheated to win. And then he went on to be in the carnival, and he cheated in that, and it just led him into crime and stuff. So I
I
thought that
don't
was
think
interesting.
I don't think the TV series has mentioned his other. I don't think they've called him Edward Nigma in the TV series. I think he's just been the
Yeah.
Riddler.
Yeah. I don't think I ever remember them calling him that either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the appearance of the Penguin. I think they mentioned it was Cobblepot. I think. Joker, of course, we don't know. Um,
no.
what his, I mean, contrary to recent things that have been written, we don't know his origin, and they certainly didn't know it at the time. Um, but Riddler, now in that first story, is he Edward Nigma? Did they say who he
I
is?
I think they did.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure they did.
And we discussed, in the Mr. Freeze episode, we discussed that was a different person, different character that became Mr. Zero. And in the show, it was a different name that became Mr. Freeze, and then they changed it finally to Victor Freeze in the comics, and it's been Victor Freeze ever since. So that one has kind of evolved. And then the only other one we've met so far is Zelda, and she was not in the comics. So and that's pretty much her name. That was not the character's name in the comic because the character was male. It was like Coronado or something like that. But um and I know a lot of Bat fans are probably yelling at me because I probably misspoke that. But in any case, the it is interesting to see, I do try to catch that. I do try to catch those little things when we watch these series, like when they mention their past or who they were or their origins or anything like that, because it does amaze me how many times or how little we do get of all of their origins. I mean, in the series, he's just the Riddler, and he's just a force of nature. There's no explanation for why he is who he is. He just is. And I think that's the way Frank Gorshin plays it. He's just insane, and you can't imagine where that could have come from.
All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right. You ready to get out of here, Batchum?
Sure thing. Bat chums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry, the worst is yet to come.
If anything, it's like my recap.
Yeah, it can get worse. We know.